Well, well, it was an interesting week to say the least. So let's get right to it, shall we? First, I'm gonna have my quick review of the football in the area. First, the Minders Academy going for a pretty good win against South Seneca. Liam and Wheat Carahare and Raheem Brother Love lead Minders to a pretty good 31-6 win over South Seneca. And you know, Carahare not only showed he can pass the ball, he can intercept the ball. A pretty good win against a bunch of Falcons who flew up from the south end of the county. But let's go from the good to the bad. And the bad was Syracuse falling down in their, quote, home game, unquote, against Notre Dame. The Fighting Irish showed that they got some pretty good talent with Everett Golson at quarterback. Syracuse was game, but they just couldn't play with the Fighting Irish, dropping a 31-15 game against them. And let's go to the ugly. Buffalo showing that they got a ways to go. They couldn't contain the NFL's #1 defensive player and the Houston Texans. J.J. Watt batting it in the air going, "Hey, look what I got!" running 80 yards for a pick six. And the chorus of people going for change there at quarterback for Buffalo is starting to grow loud. Maybe it's time for Kyle Orton to come in to play for E.J. Manuel after a performance against Houston yesterday. 23-17, the Bills go down to the Texans. Maybe it is time to see what Kyle Orton can do for the Bills. Well, let's get away from that, shall we? Let me talk about the main thing that's been on my mind this week. The Ontario County District Attorney's Office deciding that Tony Stewart will not face charges for what happened in the incident there at Speedway that resulted in the death of Kevin Ward Jr. Well, you know, they made the right decision. I have poured over that video hundreds of times, and I come to the same conclusion. Ward was taking his life into his hands when he got out of the car and he was pointing at Stewart. And you know, sprint cars do not turn on a dime. So the thing is, several drivers did say that they almost hit Ward when he got out of the car. But Ward pushed his luck and got right in Stewart's way. And also it was found, but via the autopsy, that Ward had some marijuana in his system. Imagine that. The kid apparently was high when he was in that sprint car. You gotta wonder. I know he had to let his emotions get the better of him, but you know, was he looking for a Hershey bar? I don't think so. And of course, Ward's family saying, "Oh, this ain't over." Hey, your son took a chance getting out of the car. So you know what? Tony Stewart I knew was innocent all along. So Ward's family, why don't you just drop it? And while I'm on the subject of marijuana, apparently some reporter up in Alaska decided to take matters into her own hands when apparently there was a conflict of interest. Apparently I heard from our good guys who apparently come back to radio. Good old Kimberly and Beck are back on Rochester Radio. That up in Alaska, apparently they're trying to legalize marijuana. And a reporter for an Alaska station apparently is the head of a coalition that's trying to legalize it. Well, you know, she was asked to report on it, but of course there was a conflict of interest. So she decided to put the most ultimate take your job and shove it moment. When on the air, she just said she was going to devote her time to passing the laws for cannabis up in Alaska. And as for this job, well, F it. That's what she said. F it. You know, there are more subtle ways to leave your job, but you know, that's going a little extreme there, lady. You know, plus, why do you want to legalize marijuana? Truth is, I'm one of those who think legalizing marijuana might just be the wrong idea. And also, there was big news over the weekend. George Clooney apparently is no longer the world's most eligible bachelor. He got married in Venice, Italy this past weekend. And of course, today, supposedly, is the little civil union. All the big news, George Clooney's finally getting married. Big deal. What do we want to know about George Clooney? Well, you know, he is a good movie star. Heck, he's won an Academy Award for Syriana. But do we really need to know that he's off the market? Big deal. Of course, I think it was a nice deal a couple of weeks ago when Princess Kate announced that she is expecting again. Yeah, the British royal family is showing that they got a little class, and she's showing that she's got some class. But you know, George Clooney, hey, I wish you a long, happy life with your new bride. But is it big news? I don't think so. What's big news is Denzel Washington climbing to the top of the box office with his update of what is a classic 80s TV show. Heck, in the late 80s, Edward Woodward was the Equalizer, and he did such a marvelous job playing McCall in that series. And of course, Stuart Copeland of the Police with that iconic theme song. Well, you know, I'd rather think about Denzel Washington blowing away the competition at the box office than George Clooney getting married. And last but not least, of course, there was the presentation for the casino proposals here in the state. And down in Ithaca, there was a lot of support and a lot of opposition for the Lego casino there in Tyre. Makes you wonder. It's the most expensive proposal of all the casinos, the one that seems to have the most support, but in a way, the one that seems to have the most opposition. Well, you know, I'll just tell you, bring in the casino, shall we? Make it viable instead of all these Indian casinos, especially right down here near the lake, where they can't decide who's the leader. I'm Ken Haas, and that's my rants for this week.